Okay, so we will be concentrating on today on a very important uh, topic, both fundamental concept point of view as well as examination point of view, that is algorithms and complexity. So before going to the details of algorithms, the types of algorithms, what are the principles of algorithm design, and what do you mean by the complexity of algorithm, we will just define what is an algorithm. So what is algorithm? Algorithm is a procedure to solve a particular problem in a finite number of steps for a finite sized input. So both these things are very important. Finite number of steps for a finite sized input. So input and number of steps both are important. These two parameters are very, very important. And when we discuss about the complexity of the algorithm, these are the algorithms around which the entire complexity revolves around. And algorithms can be classified into in different manners, like how they are implemented, implementation method, how the algorithms are designed, and other different system of classification. So first, we will discuss about classification by implementation method. So based on the implementation method, there are many categories of algorithm. For example, recursion or iteration algorithm. Recursion and iteration, by virtue of their meaning, they refers to something which is repetitive in nature. Okay, and the algorithm which calls itself, and we have already studied this in C++ class, and when we did the program of finding the factorial of a number. So algorithm recursion means when a function calls itself again and again. Means we have something which is repetitive in nature. So that type of algorithms are called recursion algorithms. They and recursion and iterative algorithms. Okay. There are some of the typical examples, the programming examples, the Tower of Hanoi. It is a recursion problem, and stock span is something called uh, you know iterative problem. So there is one basic difference between recursion algorithm and iterative algorithm. Recursion is a function which calls itself again and again until a condition is met, until a base condition is met. Whereas iteration is implemented. These are the iterations are the algorithms which use loops or data structures to solve any problem. We have already used the concept of loops. We will study in a meanwhile the concept of stacks used today also. And so this is the basic difference between recursion and algorithm. There's another algorithm called exact or approximate class of algorithm based on the method of implementations. Uh, some of the algorithms they are capable of finding the exact solution, optimal solution, and they are called the exact algorithm. Whereas many of the algorithms they do not find the exact problem, but they find the solution which is very near to the exact solution, and they are called the approximate algorithm. If we think of bioinformatics, and there are many examples where we try to find the exact or as well as approximate solutions. A typical example will be like Needleman-Wunsch algorithm in dynamic programming, or Smith-Waterman algorithm in dynamic programming, which always finds the optimal solution. Whereas there is another set of alignment programs like BLAST, which is a heuristic method, smart method, and which does not always, may find the exact solution, but that can find the approximate solution. Similarly, in energy minimization, when we try to find the minima of a particular protein structure and energy surface of a protein structure, then we do not always are able to find the global minima, while we are many times stuck near the global minima. So the approximate algorithms are there implemented in energy minimization algorithms also. Then there is another category like serial or parallel or distributed algorithm. Serial algorithm, something in sequence. In serial algorithm, one execution is executed at a time. In parallel algorithm, we divide the problem into sub-problem and execute on different processes. Parallel computing or distributed computing. They are the buzzword of the today, because today we are trying to solve the problem which are very big in nature. Which are data intensive problems. And for example, if we run a molecular dynamic simulation for a large number of seconds, nanoseconds, we may not able to solve this problem using a simple computer. What we try to do is, if we have 10, 20 computers in your lab, you can connect all the computers together, and you when you run this problem in parallel in all the processors, the one master computer will divide the problem. It will distribute the problem among different processors, and when the results come, that problem is again combined, and we get the combined result. So this is something called a parallel or distributed algorithm. Serial algorithm means we are solving only one execution, and instruction is executed at a time. So this was how we implement the algorithm. There is another category of classification, means classification by design method. So there are three main categories of design method. First is the greedy algorithm. A greedy algorithm means is algorithm which always try to find the solution which is very favorite, the solution which is very local, the solution which is very easily achievable. That's why it's called a greedy algorithm. In greedy algorithm, for example, at each step, a decision is made to choose the local optimum without thinking about the future consequences. So we try to find the best possible, nearest possible solution, the best achievable, the easily achievable solution. That is implementation of the greedy algorithm. Then we have another type of algorithm which is called divide and conquer. As the name suggests, we divide the problem, ठीक है, and then we try to conquer, means we try to divide the problem, we distribute the problem, solve the problem sub problems, and then we combine the answers to the sub problem to give the answer to the main problem. That is called divide and conquer. Okay? There's a merge sort and quick sort algorithm, which are a typical example of the divide and conquer algorithm. Merge sort means we try to sort some of the things. For example, if you have coins of different order, different rupees, you want to sort the coin, or for example, you have a checks from a different check of different numbers, and you want to sort that check in increasing or decreasing order. What you can try to do is, instead of uh, counting all the checks one after another, you can divide the checks into two piles, and then you can, in the piles, even you can further divide that check into different piles, and you keep on doing that unless until you have only one uh, you know check left in that pile. Once you have divided the things, then according to the order, whether you want to sort in a increasing order or decreasing order, you try to collect the check and arrange them. So this is something, example of a divide and conquer. Then we have a dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is very similar to divide and conquer. Uh, only difference is that in divide and conquer, we are not, you know, uh, very much bothered about, whether the different parts of the problem they are related to each other or not. And in dynamic programming, we try to, we try to combine different sub problems in such a way that they are related to each other. And other words means, dynamic means we try to search for each and every solution. अगर आप याद हो तो डायनामिक प्रोग्रामिंग के टिपिकल एग्जांपल हमारे पास है स्मिथ वाटरमैन and Needleman Wunsch algorithm. So when we try to divide, we want to try to align two sequences. We make one sequence as a column, and we represent second sequence as a row, and we compare each and every sequence, every character with all the characters. So that's the basic difference of basic idea of dynamic programming. And we, because we are doing the repetitive things, अगर आपको याद है तो Needleman Wunsch algorithm or Weathersmith water algorithm में we have a scoring function, and we try to each cell को हम score करते हैं, और score के हिसाब से हम check करते हैं कि maximum score कैसे आता है, और फिर हम path trace करते हैं, trace back step. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to do some of the steps which are recursive in nature. So this is a typical example of dynamic programming. Then we have another type of programming called algorithm called linear programming. And linear programming, in linear programming, there are inequalities in terms of inputs and maximizing or minimizing some linear functions of the input. We have some functions, and we try to find the either maxima or minima of that functions. This is linear programming. There's a example of linear programming are ग्राफ थ्योरी में इसको बहुत यूज करते हैं जैसे मैक्सिमम फ्लो ऑफ अट्रैक्टिव ग्राफ वी कैन फाइंड यूजिंग linear programming. Then we have another set of problem reductions algorithm which are called reduction algorithms, and they are also called transform and conquer. In this method, we solve a problem by transforming into a non-problem. For example, we have a problem, and if we can transform the problem into a problem which is already known, the solution of the problem which is already known, and so we can easily find the solution of the given problem. So basically, the goal of the reduction is to uh, you know uh, is to decrease the complexity of the problem. The problem is very much complex. We try to reduce the complexity of the problem. That giving some idea, getting some idea, or taking some idea from the problem which have already been solved, a similar type of problem which are already been solved. And there are instead of these two categories of classification, we can also classify the algorithms into other class categories like randomized algorithm. These are the algorithms which can make random choices. Means they do not make the ordered choices, but they take the random choices. They're the randomized algorithm. They are also very important. For example, if we want to generate a random DNA sequence, we have already done it in Perl classes in the last year. So the random sequence we want to generate a random sequence of proteins, a random sequence of uh, you know uh, uh, nucleotides, and whatever we want. So we can use the randomized algorithm. And classification by complexity, we can also classify the algorithm based on the classification. This classification we will be discussing in a short while. And we can also classify the algorithm in the research area. Yeah, for example, sorting algorithm, searching algorithm, machine learning. This paper is about machine learning, so machine learning algorithm. So these are some of the algorithms. There is another category of branch and bound algorithm. And already we have discussed some of the aspects of branch and bound algorithm when we discussed about confirmation analysis. And in confirmation analysis, we try to when we try to find the confirmation using distance-based methods. So we use the concept of branch and bound. We try to set some the limit when we randomize the distance. We randomize the distance within certain limits, the upper limit and lower upper bounds and lower bounds. So such type of algorithms are called the branch and bound algorithm. Okay, and when designing these algorithms, we have to keep into mind some of the important principles of algorithm design. And these principles of the algorithm design are discussed as follows. For example, the first principle is experiment with example. So this is one of the most important thing is instead of generating some random input, what we can try to use it. We can discuss some. We can try to create some examples, and for small particular data set, and then we can, if the small example is solved, we can extend that example to the larger data set or the larger problem. Then simplify the problem. This is another principle. We always try to search the algorithm which simplify the problem instead of making it more complex. If we have algorithm which is making the which is solving a problem in a less number of time, less number of steps, using less memory, in a very efficient manner, so that will be preferred as compared to the algorithm which is solving the same problem in a more complex manner. There are some examples you can go through later on, and then look for similar problems. This is another important property principles on which the algorithms are designed. If we have, algorithm for similar already existing algorithm for a similar problem, we can take that algorithm. We can modify it a little bit to suit our needs, then we can design the new algorithm. So that's always solve our problem, that save our resources, save our time, and so on. And delegate the work. This is another principle, like in various software companies or various organizations where the algorithms are developed, they they divide the work into different person groups. So this is another principle of algorithm design. We have to delegate the work to, we have to divide the work, we have to delegate the work to different aspects. Like another example, if we go for the implement of parallel algorithms, parallel computing. So what we are trying to do is we have a large work, we need a lot of space, we not need a lot of processing power. So what we are trying to do is we distributed or parallel computing, we are dividing the problem into small parts, and we are distributing this problem to be solved by a respective set of processors on different machines, and then we can combine the problem, combine the solutions to have a look at the exact solution of the problem. The other principle is design according to runtime. So this is something very important. The time is very important. For example, if you're running a molecular dynamics simulation, and very complex simulation, and if it takes months to run, that may not be of very useful for us. We try to solve problem in a very small period of time, probably significantly achievable period of time. So we have to design the algorithm. We have to choose the algorithm such that the problem is solved in a very very less time, very significantly, acceptable time. So this is another important principle of algorithm design. Okay. So now we will move on to another important part of algorithm design, that is called complexity theory. So what is a complexity theory? Complexity theory, as we defined in the algorithm, that the size of the data, the time taken by the algorithm, the number of steps the algorithm takes, uh, and the size of the data which it processes in a particular period of time. These both are really very important. Okay, so that's classified as that is something when we deal about the complexity theory or complexity of the algorithm. And before going to the details of the complexity, mathematical details of the complexity theory, some of the things mentioned here, but I will be discussing them in detail in the next few steps. Okay, so there are problems. There are different type of problem, like the undecidable problem. So these are the problems. For example, the halting problem. This is a particular type of problem which are undecidable. This is possible to write a program that will determine in any that will determine in if any program has an infinite loop. For example, a program which has an infinite loop. So we are not able to decide in how many number of steps the program is going to run. So particular class of complexity, based on the complexity, there are different class of problems. Like the first class is the P class problem. P stand here for polynomial time. Polynomial time means if one step of a algorithm takes, for example, 2 seconds. The next step can take 2 square seconds. Then other next step can take 2 to the power 3 seconds, and so on. The run time actually varies polynomially. That varies the power of some particular number. So that's why most of the problem are of this class, they are the problem which can be solved in the polynomial time. So therefore, any problem that can be solved in polynomial time is considered to be the class P problem. For example, sorting. So we can sorting, we can if we want to sort numbers, we can tell that if there are a finite number of sets checks, for example, to sort, or finite number of any different things to be sorted out, we can tell that in how many steps they can be sorted out. We can certainly uh, tell that these problem can be solved in a finite number of steps. So these problems are called the P class problem. Now let us move to another class of problem, which is called NP class problems. NP class, you know, non-decidable deterministic polynomial. NP stands for non-deterministic deterministic polynomials. So they are very, difficult. We cannot determine the time which this problem can take, the number of steps this problem can take to solve, to be solved. We can have an idea, but we know that this problem can be solved, but we are not able to know the number of, we are not able to determine the number of steps which will be taken by this problem to be solved. And these type of problems called the NP, non-deterministic polynomial problems. And nowadays, there is one advantage that the computers nowadays are really powerful, and many of the problems which were earlier considered NP, they have been able to be solved in a deterministic period of time. In the same time, we are having more complex problems to be solved. We are dealing with the big data. So again, the NP concept still is very important. And the NP step, maybe we have two different type of problems like NP hard and NP, complete. And NP complete problems means a subset of NP problems in non-deterministic polynomial time जो problems होती हैं उसमें दो subsets हैं. One is called the NP complete and other is NP hard. So NP complete is a subset of NP problems. These are the problems where any problem in NP can be polynomially reduced to it. Means any problem which is not a deterministic polynomial problem, we can reduce this problem, to somehow, with some of the changes, with some of the implementations, we can reduce this problem to be solved in, finite polynomial number of steps, polynomially into a polynomial problem. So that is called the NP complete problem, and that is a problem is considered to be NP complete if it is able to provide a mapping from any NP class problem to it and back. We can, NP problem say, we can try to give it to NP polynomial problem, and then if we need it, we can get back to the NP status. NP hard. Uh, a problem is NP hard if any NP problem can be mapped to it and back in a polynomial time. This is called the NP hard. If we consider it, again, uh, NP complete is a problem. It is able to provide a mapping from any NP class to it and back. It may or may not be, solved in a polynomial time, but NP hard is a problem which can be mapped back in polynomial time. However, the problem need not to be NP. The problem, the earlier classification NP complete, the problem need to be NP problem, but here the problem need not to be NP. There are other notions which are associated with some of the mathematical terms which are associated with these type of things like big O notation, little o, theta, omega. These are some of the notations which we are always uh, uh, you know we are always considered in computers. So what is big O notation? This is a big O notation is very very important. Notation, they are the notations, they state the growth of resource needed of an algorithm. Is what type of resources an algorithm, how much resources an algorithm can take in terms of efficiency, speed, for example, and in terms of storage of data. There are four basic notations used when we try to uh, implement, try to express algorithm. OFN, OF, uh, omega FN, okay, theta FN, and little o, small o, and big O. These tools are there. Do not get used with them. The first one is called the big O, the capital O. Function FN का मतलब है the functions which are based on capital O, the function which are based on little o, the function which are based on omega, and the functions which are based on theta. Okay, so this is the formal definition of this particular aspect, and this is the definition. Tn, any function Tn is a OFN, means it's a big O type of function if and only if for some constant c, the definition please आप ऐसे ही याद कर लेना, for some constant c and n0 for example is the initial value of the function, and c is the any value at any particular stage of this function. Tn is less than c of fn. अगर आप c को मल्टीप्लाई करो फंक्शन ऑफ जो भी वैल्यू है एट अ पर्टिकुलर टाइम, मल्टीप्लाई बाय c for all n which are greater than or equal to n0, मीन्स इनिशियल वैल्यू के से ऊपर जितनी भी n की वैल्यू है इक्वल टू और उससे ऊपर उन सभी वैल्यूज के लिए अगर tn की वैल्यू जो है फॉर सम कांस्टेंट c and n0, अगर that is less than equal to cfn, then this is called the big O function. Theta, let us go for the omega function. Tn is omega type of function if and only if some constant c and n0, Tn यहाँ पर लेस देन इक्वल टू था, यहाँ पर ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू सी एफ एन, एंड देयर आर इन सम सिमिलरली Tn theta and little o are defined. For example, a function Tn is of the theta function type if Tn is OFN and Tn is omega fn. Means Tn is behaving both in terms of big O as well as the theta function. Tn is a small o function if and only if Tn is OFN function and Tn is not an theta function. Theta function means it is not satisfying both the conditions. So these are some of the different types of the definition for complexity. What this actually informally what does mean that Tn is OFN basically means that function describes the upper bound. This function describes what can be the upper bound of the Tn, how big maximum this function can grow. Omega fn means describe the lower bound of fn. So how minimal that function value can go. And Tn थीटा एन हमें पता है ये बिग और ओमेगा दोनों को फॉलो करता है, इसका मतलब इट डिस्क्राइब द अपर बाउंड एज वेल एज द लोअर बाउंड, एग्जैक्ट लोअर एंड अपर बाउंड, एंड